Hello and welcome to another fun-filled Sunday.
Fuck off, asshole! Leave me alone! Don't you know it's fucking Sunday?
Drums. Synthesizer drums. So since one of our previous episodes when I ran into an issue and I wasn't able to actually do this, I've been kind of itching to get back in here and really dive into this because not only are there some really cool sequencers and oscillators and just various things that you can use to make drums out of reactor blocks, but there's all sorts of unexpected possibilities when you take a sequence that you're working with. It's a musical sequence. When you add a rhythm to that, it expands your brain to start thinking of it in terms of, oh, okay, here's how it could work with a rhythm or within a song, so just exploring those creative possibilities together is something I've really, really wanted to get into. So we're going to spend some time doing that in reactor blocks today. Very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a new block template, and I'm just going to go into Edit and open the browser here, and let's get into Library. User Library, Blocks, New. Here we go. So we're going to go into the Edit and the structure view and start just getting rid of things I know I'm not going to need. So I'm going to keep my utility note in, and I'm going to go ahead and build in some things that I know I'm going to want. So let's go with from the factory library, we're going to go with sorry, no, we're going to library reactor blocks. So from the factory library, we're going to go with, I never remember where this is, Digilog clock divider. And we're going to let this be our gate runner for the entire sequencer. I'm also going to go ahead and remove the stereo because I want to go ahead and use a quad mixer. And there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag in, I know I'm going to need a VCA. And notice I didn't doubly drag in the ADSR because what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to modulate the MOD-A input of the VCA with a really cool sequencer from the Kodiak folder, which is the Curve sequencer. It's very sweet. So this is going to run my drum signal, basically. Modulating the VCA is going to be, I'm going to actually use the mix just in case I want to do a couple of different sequences. And we're going to use the audio input, of course, to capture the oscillator that we're going to use. So I'm going to do a couple things here. First, I know I want to use a custom oscillator from the user library, but first I'm just going to drag in a basic Bento Box oscillator so you can kind of tell the difference between what I'm going to use today and just like a standard out-of-the-box factory library Bento Box. So let's go into my community library, reactor blocks, instruments, Euro-Reakt, blocks, folder, oscillators. And I'm going to use the drum module. It's a really sweet module that's basically 1/2 Bento Box and 1/2 noise generator. So And it also you also use a gate signal to actually tell it when to operate. So in conjunction with the gate controlling the output stage, we actually have the gate signal going into the oscillator to tell it when to fire. So that's a pretty key difference between, say, this and any other oscillator that you might see, a normal one. So I'm going to start patching things in. I know I'm going to patch the gate into that oscillator to use it. I'm going to patch this gate actually into the sequencer. And first, I want to show you what a standard Bento Box out of this thing will do, what it will sound like. And then I'll go ahead and patch in the new one to the Bento Box VCA, and we'll go ahead and use this for today as our actual drum module. So let's go back to the panel and just kind of start cleaning things up just a little bit. And let's get, this is always my favorite part. Haha. Sort of. The sequencer, I want to show this. Actually, I'm going to put this guy up front. And we're only going to keep the Bento Box for just a couple minutes, but we'll keep it in here. So actually, we'll just move this up here for now. So this Bento Box is actually on this row, but yeah, I'm just moving it up here to save a little bit of space. So let's take a look at the different curves. What's really cool about this Kodiak curve sequencer is it's basically the sequencer that is available for you to use inside of inside of the Massive synth. So anyone who's familiar with Native Instruments Massive, this is the modulation basically sequencer that you have available, and there's all these different curves that you have available, and you can set up 2 sequencer lines. You can turn each one on and off, and it's just really straightforward in terms of setting up the sequences and then fading between the two, you know, which ones you want to play. So I'm going to go ahead and play this sequence in lane 1. And right now we're running the Bento Box oscillator. I think I should hopefully get some sound the way things are patched in. Let's just see. Going over everything in my brain, the only thing I've forgotten is to modulate the VCA. So we turn that on and let's hit play and see if we got some sound. So that's it. Very basic. I could add a little bit of color just to get slightly into the triangle zone. The best thing to do here too is always turn off key tracking, because we're not playing the keyboard, right? We have no pitch in here. So I want to just control the pitch with the frequency knob. So I'm going to turn that off. And right now we're at 32 cycles, and I'll just like start playing with this. You can start getting, you know, a sort of bass drum tone that sounds pretty cool. I want to start with a tone that sounds kind of cool, but what you always want to wind up doing if you're working within a song is you want to look up the frequency of whatever key the song is and the various bass tone frequencies that resonate at that frequency, basically at that pitch. And you want to tune your kick drums to, especially if it's electronic music, tune it to the same key of the song, because you can create weird phase relationships and just weird, you know, off, or I guess what's the right word, dissonant harmonics that are maybe unintentional and don't kind of muddy things up. But I'm not really doing a song. I'm just going to kind of tune this up to something that sounds kind of cool. This is about as cool as that's going to get, you know, and then you can play with various sequences. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward. This is just the basic Bento Box oscillator. What I'm going to do now is I've got the gate running. I should have everything hooked up the way I need to now to actually switch out the Bento Box for the drum module. So I'm going to go ahead and do an old switcheroo. See, and already that sounds pretty sweet. So now we're running the drum module, and this is basically a core of a Bento Box. I like it. I actually like it with a sine wave and just a touch of triangle, and just add that in. And here's our crossfader, which fades between the oscillator side and the noise side. So you hear the noisy side, that's some noise, you know. you have some EQ options over here as well, color. So it's very, very powerful in terms of understanding, you know, the difference between a kind of a basic oscillator and adding a noise circuit to it. You know what I mean? This is something that people will commonly do and add different modules together to get this kind of sound. And this kind of sound is all included within one module. That's why this thing is just freaking awesome. So I kind of want to turn off key tracking on that as well and play with it, which I guess you can. The frequency spectrum is so gross, and not gross as in, you know, disgusting, but, you know, gross in terms of the change happens at such a large scale when I trigger this knob that I almost want to keep key tracking on. And it sounds like I can get some pretty good frequency ranges just in this small range that it gives me access to here. So this sounds pretty sweet just by itself. It sounds pretty awesome. And we could always have kept that other oscillator in here to do some FM, but honestly I think this is so cool. You know, there's kind of just the Bento Box side by itself. You blend it with the noise, and that's when you get the really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a filter to this situation. So let's give us a little bit of room here, and let's open up our library. I'm going to keep it factory. I'm going to actually go with this nice West Coast filter that I know sounds really nice for drums in this snappy mode, just messing with it. Really, really cool. And the pluck input actually is great for receiving gate signals. Pluck input for exciting the LPG, so it opens in a natural sounding manner, reminiscent of a drum hit or plucked string. The pluck input responds well to sharp edge signals like gates, pulse waveforms, and step sequences. The signal arriving at the pluck input can be attenuated with the pluck control. So that just sounds awesome. So I'm going to run this same gate signal into pluck here. And there we have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a small arrangement and patch this baby in. Arrange, and presto. Oh, sounds so cool. So now to get something like I was doing earlier, I'm going to MIDI learn a couple of controls on my MIDI keyboard. So that I can get some pretty interesting sounds. And now we have a really cool situation set up to run drums at whatever tempo we want. Slow her down just a touch. And then we can do this cool stuff over time just to give it some variation. I could even learn this crossfader. That'd be kind of cool. See, so much variation can be had. So now let's work on a cool sequence. I'm gonna just kind of build this in as, let's try, let's see, what do we want to do here? That sounds pretty sweet. That sounds pretty sweet as it is. Right there. Oh. I lost that little hill. I like that little hill. give it a, what's this? I like that curve. All right, wrong impression for the end. Let's give it a couple of curves like that at the beginning. And let's move this guy back, touch, and let's yep. That's pretty sweet. See, already right here we have something pretty cool. Now we can only go up from here. Alright, I'm gonna learn this play button. And let's hit play on the keyboard. Cool. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Haha. Yep. Yes, sir. That's pretty sweet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fuck up some more shit. We're going to build in a sequencer for, or maybe two, for a melody line. So I'm going to go in and build in an 8-step. And let's go ahead and run this guy off gate 2. And we're actually going to choose some different stuff. Let's go into the, not the Euro-Reakt library, but this oscillator library I have here. And I'm going to drag in an NHT oscillator, which is a fantastic, excuse me, fantastic oscillator by the name of, who is it? Jeremy something. I don't want to get it wrong, so give me a sec, and I'm going to look this up real quick. NHT oscillator. NHT oscillator reactor. I think this might be it. Yes, here it is. Jonathan Tremblay. Thank you very much, sir. Amazing stuff, as always. And this oscillator it's incredible. It's nuts. And many things can just be controlled via CV, via direct controls and direct inputs to the various controls rather than just a simple mod-A and mod-B input. So it's very, 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 very flexible. So fantastic stuff. I'm going to look at AMP-VCA, and I'm going to bring in a envelope as well, of course. And let's go ahead and modulate input A of this, and let's just call this, I want to remove the name so you guys can hopefully, I don't know how well you can read that, but that says NHT oscillator, and I just want to keep that there so you know what that is. 001, 00001. And let's go ahead and go out to input 2 in the mixer, and let's go ahead and patch in, not yet. Let's bring in a filter. What do we got on my filter game? What's in the Euro-Reakt folder for filters? I'm sure there's stuff. I'm sure there's things. effects, comb filter, low pass gate. What's this? Low pass gate. Let's just see what it is. A low pass gate is an effect that combines a low pass filter with a voltage controlled amplifier. The effect is frequently used to make physical sounding percussion tones. Most analog low pass gates, this is going to be kind of a percussive thing. I don't know how well it's going to work. I've never used it before, so let's just patch it up and see what we're working with. So we have that there. We're going to go ahead and patch in, patch in the output of the synth into our low pass gate, and let's go into the panel and do some arranging here. So actually, low pass gate will say 001 as well. There we go. And let's drop everything down. 1 second. I'm gonna be a little NL for a sec. There we go. I know I might use another one of these here in a moment. So, okay, let's pop this down here. Level 2. Level 2. And then there was level 2. And let's try to see if we can reposition. There we go. And we have level 2. Level 2. Let's reposition. There we have it. And let's go ahead and turn all of these on here and get into, C. Let's just stay in a C, but I want to go down into more C1 and C2 territory because this might probably be a bass tone, something or other. And I don't know how well everything is patched up right now, but I thought we should be hearing some things. Let's see. What are we missing here? Oh, there's his name right there. Could have just done that. Easy enough. We have no sound here. I wonder what I'm doing. It's going into input 2. Maybe I'm just not hearing it. Yeah, I know I gotta turn it back up, but what's going on here? What am I not thinking of? Ah. I bet. I know. Yep, no, that's not it either. But that will be helpful. So we'll try the gate from the 8-step. So we have some stuff here, but we got no music. We got no notes coming. What's going on? Let's try to figure this out. No. What we need there. What we need is, let's see, pitch. And let's go out of here and see. No, that's not it. I mean, this is patched in the exact same way. What are we missing? What are we missing here? Let's see if we can just focus here. Let's bring the volume up. I'm going to mute that channel and see what we got going on. This is sending pitch to here. This definitely has a gate running, so it's running. What else are we missing? We don't want a pitch input there. We want this to govern the pitch. This is going to send that pitch to the Bento Box. That's going to run into, maybe it's this filter thingy. That can happen. Maybe it's a weird filter that I'm not used to, and it's just not running. Let's see. Here we go. So something with this low pass gate is causing it not to run. So I wonder what, let's see, gate signal input, a positive 0, okay. So we might need to run a gate signal into the ping. Let's try it. There we go. There we go. We got some sound. All right, by process of elimination and figuring out this new technology, and it probably helps to read, especially when there's large parts of information, converts a modulation source to a trigger. Vectoral input. Typically, you would hit this with a gate or trigger, but you can place any modulation source. The source will be modified to have a rapid attack and slow rubbery decay. Interesting. I wonder what happens if we run that there too. Not sure. Does the ping need to be plugged in if the VAC is plugged in? Doesn't look like it. Now what's direct? Left signal input. So I think by process of elimination, we have now hopefully figured out and are now running on the NHT oscillator. Golden. Took long and damn enough. So let's try and figure out what this does. Not really sure. You might want to just go with a regular filter on this thing. Let's see. It combines a low-pass filter with a voltage-controlled amp. The effect is frequently used to make physical-sounding percussive tones. The gain in, let's see, LP, both. That's very interesting. Its effect is so minor. Yeah, the effect is so minor that it's almost better, I think, here to possibly use a different filter, like maybe go with a Monark or something like that. So let's just do that. Let's patch in like a Monark, kind of like we had a second ago, I think. And let's just keep it rolling here. There we go. That sounds pretty sweet. That sounds pretty sweet so far. Yep, I think those are the ones I want to control with this guy. Yes, sir. That's what I think. Yes, sir.